Hey guys, Erin here. Just wanted to do a quick meal prep and meal planning tutorial for you guys. Many of you have asked me how I meal prep and how do I do it for a week, and because it can seem kind of overwhelming and kind of daunting, and I totally get that. So I thought I'd just do a quick little tutorial for how I meal prep, especially on the 21-day fix. Now, if you aren't using the 21-day fix, I'm happy to go over meal prepping with you as well. It's pretty similar actually, and I have all the tools you need, and it's also on my blog, or now my website, sorry. But let's talk about the 21-day fix since we're all kind of doing that right now. So step number one, of course, is you need to determine your container requirements. So the book walks you through, the little booklet that your program comes through walks you through how to figure out your daily calorie requirements and container requirements, right? I also talk about it in my program tutorial, which is in our files tab on our challenge group, and it's on my blog or website. Sorry, I keep saying that. I've only been a website for like a week or two, so sorry. But those documents are available online, right? So I walk you through it as well. Now, once you have your daily container requirement, what I've asked is that you guys now go to my program tutorial, right? And I have created a chart for every calorie bracket in the program. I've created a chart that breaks down how many containers you need each day, and what that breaks down to in cups and ounces, as well as how many numbers of containers you need for each week, for each color, and again in cups and ounces. So I've really broken it down for you guys so you really know, here are my daily and weekly container requirements, and here are what they break down to in cups and ounces, right? I've also done a little baby chart following that big chart, and that little baby chart goes over what each container measures out to approximately. The exact measurements are proprietary. Sorry, I can't talk. They're proprietary. So again, it was me measuring them out and trying to do that to the best of my ability. So if you are wanting to know what everything measures out to, visit my program tutorial, right? Because what that's going to do, the reason I did that is because when you go to the grocery store, right, it doesn't say like, this quinoa measures out to 4 yellow containers, right? It doesn't do that. And so I try to make it easier for you guys to take all the containers that you have and be able to make a good grocery list and know exactly how much you need to buy, so you're not wasting money and you're not wasting food, right? So step one, again, go determine your container requirement. Step two is going to be going to my program tutorial and viewing how many containers you need of each color each week, right? And write down and make note of how many cups that measures to, or whatever. Or what I like to do is I like to just keep that little chart with me that shows what each container measures out to by itself, because then that way I can just kind of multiply it by how many things I decide to cook. So if it's like I want 3 yellow containers for quinoa, I know how much that measures out to, and for each one I'll just times it by 3, that sort of thing. So after that, I would recommend printing out my meal planner and trackers. I have 2. So I have one that breaks it down daily, and then I have one that breaks it down weekly, right? And so whatever you prefer, the daily one is definitely more detail oriented, right? It's going to allow you to really write out each meal, what each meal breaks down to in containers, and what those measurements are, and if you ate them, if you had them left over, and how you felt, and that sort of thing. So it's a really good tool to use. So you're going to want to print that out, and you're going to want to write. So once you have that, right, then you're going to want to figure out what containers you want to have at certain times of day, right? And the program is really flexible, and it allows you to kind of pick and choose throughout the day. And for some, that's great. And for others, they really want that concrete meal plan. So my suggestion is, you have your daily container requirements. So with that, figure out what containers you like to eat at certain times. So for example, for me, Let me pull it up here on my phone. I have broken it down, and I keep this same structure each day. This is the way my containers are ordered each day. So, for example, for breakfast, I always have one red, one purple, and one yellow. Um, and then for my first snack, I have one red, two purple, and one orange. Then for lunch, I have a red, a yellow, and a green. And then snack two is a yellow, a green, and a blue. And then dinner is one red and one green. So what that kind of comes out to. So for example, today, my breakfast was one red, which was half a serving of egg, and then 2 slices of turkey bacon, so half a serving of the turkey bacon, because if you look on your red container list, you can have, your eggs and your bacon, but I split that serving size in half, so both together equaled one red. And you can do that. Then for my purple, I had fruit. I think this morning was pineapple again. I had that for lunch too, but so then I had pineapple. Then my yellow was a quinoa, and so you can make like a little breakfast bowl kind of thing. It's really yummy. And then for my first snack, my red is actually my Shakeology, and I mix that with water. And then the orange, I put in flaxseed meal because it kind of thickens the shake up and gives it that consistency that you would normally have with like almond milk or something else. But since we can only have almond milk a couple times a week, I try to find other ways to get the Shakio to the consistency that I like. So I add in one orange of flaxseed meal, and that covers me for the day. Then I also have 2 purple for a snack. So again, more fruit, which is usually either berries. Most often it's going to be raspberry, blueberries, and blackberries mixed together. And so that's what I have. Then like lunch, I posted it on Instagram, but my lunch is going to be one red, one yellow, and one green. So I had chicken, I had asparagus, and I had baked garbanzo beans. And then my second snack is one yellow, one green, and one blue. So it'll probably be garbanzo beans again. I love them. I'm on a garbanzo bean kick. I don't know. One green, I'll probably have crispy green beans or a bag of carrots. And then my blue is almonds. And almonds are a really good snack to have in the afternoon because they keep you feeling full and satiated. So it's a good snack to have in the afternoon. And then dinner is going to be one red, one green. So I have different things that I cooked for red. This week I can have chicken, I can have tuna, those sorts of things. So I'm going to have tuna tonight with some sauteed kale, probably. Sauteed kale or sauteed spinach. So that's kind of how I broke it down. But as you see, I like to schedule everything out by the containers, right? Because if I do it by, say, breakfast, I'm always going to have one red, one purple, one yellow. It makes it easier and more flexible. When I am done meal prepping, I don't have to sit there and try to think of each meal I'm going to want each day and what I'm going to be feeling and what I like. I don't really like to do that because I found that when I did that in the past, I actually didn't follow that. I actually kept trying to substitute for other things in my meal plan. So that's what's great about the 21-day fix is you can have this flexibility, and the flexibility can come even with a little bit of structure, right? So really figure out how you want to break things down. A huge tip, right? So it talks about it in the book, and I can't stress this enough because I've seen it with my clients and I've seen it with myself. When you are spreading your containers out throughout the day, try to have all of your purple and all of your yellow by mid-afternoon or early afternoon, not at dinner, not after dinner. Why? Because the purple and the yellow, while they're the healthy carbs and they're good for you and you need them, sometimes I've found that people wait and are eating a lot of carbs towards the end of the day when they are less active, instead of eating them earlier in the day, right, at breakfast or mid-morning lunch, and then or mid-morning snack, and then at lunch, right, to where they have the whole day to burn off those carbs. So just a little tip, it works for me, and it gives me that energy I need kind of all day long because I spread them out every couple hours in the morning, and it just pushes me over the edge and lets me get that little burst of energy that I need. So consider doing that. Try fitting all of your yellows and purples in earlier in the day versus later in the day. Another tip with spreading out your containers. My recommendation is to have a red at every main meal. And of course, you'll probably have to have more. So if it's every meal and every snack, great. Um, Also, greens. Try to get your greens in every meal. So you want to think, if I know the program talks about how it doesn't matter what you eat and when, but for some people it does. And some people need a more well-balanced meal to keep their energy levels up, because I found that when you tell people that they can just kind of pick and choose throughout the day, they pick and choose those things that they want first, and then they leave all the stuff they don't want. And by the end of the day, you're left with, maybe tons of greens, or for me, it's tons of purple because I don't actually like purple that much. I'm not a big sweet person, so I'll have all my purple left, or that sort of thing. So you want to try to spread it out and have a balanced meal. So that would be a red and a green. So you have your protein and you have your veggies. And then, you can have your healthy carbs. You can have, you can still have your purple, but trying to get your fruits and veggies and healthy carbs and healthy fats in, like your blue containers and your orange containers, those are going to be important for you. So, definitely think about that. That's my biggest suggestion. I'm contemplating creating templates for everyone, for every bracket, that kind of schedules everything out for people, right? So you guys don't have to worry about that. I can kind of figure out, hey, if you're in my bracket, which is the 1500 to 1799 bracket, I believe it is, you're going to have the one red, one purple, one yellow at breakfast, and then you're going to have two purples and the red, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to try to do that for you guys because it might be easier, especially if you're new to meal prepping and new to figuring out how to balance meals to give you energy and that sort of thing. So I'd be happy to do that, and I probably will do that because it seems like it's going to be the most beneficial. But if you want to do it on your own, try to take those tips and remember that the more well-balanced meals you have, the better. Having your carbs and, your fruits and your purples and your yellows earlier in the day, and then having your bigger meals in the morning and your lighter meals at night, that's going to really help you with your weight loss. So, all right, so now we figured out our schedules, right? We've figured out our container requirements. We have, taken a look at how many containers you need each week for each color and what that measures out to. And now you've spread everything out throughout the day, right? So you have this template. Every day this is how your containers are going to lay out. So now my suggestion is to go and pick 2 to 3 things off of each container list. So I'm one that I don't like to cook different things for every single meal. It's too time consuming and I don't have time, and many of you don't have time as well. So my suggestion is picking 2 to 3 things off of each container list. So for example, this week, in the most 5, right? Because 5 is probably the top I've done. This week was actually more diversity than I normally do, right? So this week I picked, for example, for my greens, I had a lot of greens this go around. So I had spinach and I had kale and I had green beans, asparagus, and carrots. So I had 5 different things, right? So I picked those. And for my reds, I picked obviously Shakeology first and foremost. And then I did egg whites and turkey bacon for one red because I split everything in half. Sorry. Stay quiet. No. Bad dogs. So I picked those things, and I picked chicken and ahi tuna, sorry. So like for me, for instance, I knew that, and I was cooking for 2, right? So consider this. I was cooking for my mom and myself, and I knew that I needed 56 red for the both of us for the entire week, right? And so what I first did is I first took off Shakeology, right? That's a must. That has to come in every single day. And so I took that out. So I subtracted 14 from 56. So I knew that I had, what is that? Like, I'm not a good math person. That's 42, 42, right? 42 containers left after No, 38. No, I don't know. We're not going to go there. Anyways, I subtracted the Shakio from my total container allotment, and I knew I had a certain amount of containers left. From there, I went to what I normally have for breakfast, because I have the same thing for breakfast every day. Some of you may not be that way. Some of you may be that way. Totally up to you. I always like eggs and bacon in the morning. So then I went and I figured out, okay, well, if this is how many eggs it is for, one container, I'm going to split that in half, and then I'm going to take the turkey bacon. So it's 2 slices of turkey bacon and 1 egg, right? And so, I figured out, well, I need to cook this many eggs and I need to cook 28 slices of turkey bacon, and so on and so forth, right? From there, I subtracted, how much of that, how many containers that was. So that was another 14, right? Because my mom's doing the same thing. So then now I'm left with the rest of the containers. Um, so I knew that I had chicken and I had tuna, and so I decided I'm going to have, because I got 2 big ahi tuna steaks, and that only came out to 6 red containers. So then I knew, all right, I'm going to have to do the rest chicken, and that came out to 22 red chicken containers. Now, again, once you're creating this list, right, you need to go back to that program tutorial I created, because then you can see, all right, well, if I need 22 grilled chicken containers, how many ounces of chicken is that? Well, luckily enough, I measured it out, and it's about 4 ounces or so, 3 to 4 ounces of meat. So now at the grocery store, multiply 22 by 3 or 4, and then that's how many ounces you need to buy. So you kind of get the gist. It's you figure out your container requirements, you figure out how much you're going to have of each container and of each item, and then you can create your list that way. But I like to only do a certain number of items, because I tend to have the same things every other day, right? So I figure, okay, if I'm going to do 2 full days that are different. So I figure out what I want to eat in those days and in those container requirements, and then I just kind of multiply it out to figure out how much I need for that week. So that's how I do it. I think it makes a lot of sense. For me, it's easy, because then what I do is, once I've figured out, okay, well, I'm going to need 6 ahi tuna and 22 or 6 containers for ahi tuna, and 22 containers for, chicken. And then let's see, I'm going to need 14 containers. So I'm going to need 14 red for my breakfast, but I'm going to split that in half. So that means instead of 14 eggs, I'm going to do 7 eggs. And then instead of, 28 slices of bacon, I'm going to do, however many. So you kind of figure it out. You need to really just sit down, really spread out those containers throughout the day, figure out 2 full days, maybe 3 that are different. And then from there, you need to say, okay, so these are the red containers I have, and I'm gonna, because I have these 3 days, all right, so then I'm gonna have to make 2, so here, let me back up a little bit. So you have this, it can kind of get a little confusing. This is where it gets a little tricky. So you have, for me, I do 2 full days that are different, except for breakfast. Breakfast is always the same, and my mid-morning snack is always the same. So if I say, okay, well, I need to do, my lunch is going to be chicken one night, and then I'm going to do ahi tuna the next, and I want to kind of mismatch kind of thing. I have to remember that I'm going to be starting with Monday lunch, chicken at lunch and ahi tuna at dinner, and remember, every other day it's going to be that way. Now, if the next day, for instance, lunch I wanted ground turkey, and then dinner I wanted salmon or something, then I would remember, so three days out of the week I'm going to have X many containers of turkey and salmon and tuna and chicken. And from there, once I have those containers figured out, then I can go back to my chart and I can say, all right, well, I'm going to really just need 3 containers worth of chicken. And that's going to measure out to, 12 ounces of chicken. Um, you know, So that's kind of how I go about it. That's the most time consuming part about meal planning and prepping, is that you have to figure out, how much you need to buy, what do you want to eat and when, and go from there. But once you figure that out, that's really the most difficult part. So once you figure that out, the rest is easy, right? So then you go to the grocery store, and I recommend, sorry, it's really bright in here. I recommend shopping at places like Costco or Sam's Club, places that you can buy in bulk, because it saves you a lot of money, especially on things like, your fish and your proteins, your fruits and your veggies. Another tip is when you're buying in bulk like that. This week I bought fresh, but normally I actually buy frozen, because it saves a lot of money. Now, you do need to defrost everything, and worry about that later, but it definitely saves a lot of money. So once you go shopping and you have everything that you need, you can bring it back home to cook it. You can either cook it right then and there and just cook on the stove and grill and all that sort of stuff like I did this week, or you can do what I normally do, and it saves tons of time, is cooking in crock pots. I like to cook like all my chicken in one crock pot, and then all of my, fish I don't typically do in a crock pot. I typically just cook the fish. But I do all of my green containers. Like if I want steamed veggies, I cook them all in crock pots, and I have a triple crock pot that has, I can separate everything out. But I put a tiny little bit of water at the bottom of the crock pot, set it on high if I want it done in 4 hours, low if I want it done on 8 hours. You can put your seasonings in there. Remember, low sodium if you're on the 21-day fix. But yeah, it's a really quick and easy way to just kind of set it and forget it, and you can come back once everything's done, and then you can just measure everything out with your containers. My recommendation for doing that is, if you do meal prep the way that I do, and you want that flexibility, right? Because maybe one day you decide, I don't want the chicken for lunch like I thought. I'm going to have it for dinner instead. Instead of pre-packaging everything into one Tupperware, separating everything out into baggies so you can grab and go and mix and match, that's going to be a really great way to keep it flexible for you. So there's these great colored baggies at Target, really cheap, generic brand. But they have blue, red, green, and yellow baggies. And then you can also, what I do is I put purple in sandwich size clear baggies. And then for orange, I put them in little snack size clear baggies. So I just count everything out and separate it out. And if you check out the photos on my Instagram or on my Facebook page, I showed you guys the organizational system of getting storage totes that you can get for like arts and crafts. If you get those and you place them in your fridge, you can separate each drawer out for the color of container you want. And that makes it really easy too. And you can have your name on it, and people know to stay out, and it's your special 21-day fix stuff. So hope that makes sense. Again, the biggest tools you're going to have are going to be that program tutorial guide that I made for you guys, and the meal planner and trackers that I gave you guys and created for you guys, because those really break it down for you in a way that the program guide that you got with your program does. So definitely print out and save that program tutorial, save those charts that kind of break down the measurements of everything, and really take some time this next week to sit down and figure out, how you want to schedule out your containers, and, what items you're going to eat off of the containers. Oh, another big tip. Try to eat from the top of the list first and foremost versus the bottom. The most nutritious and the best for you are going to be at the top. So I've been noticing people who will pick things at the bottom, or things that are processed still, or lots of breads and pastas and things like that. Try to stay away from that. Let's think plant-based. Let's think lean proteins. And let's really try to watch those things, because that'll be really helpful as well. So if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. I know it's a lot of info. I will try to get those the kind of pre-planned out meal planners for you guys. I can adjust the ones that I already have. But I'm hoping that if I kind of figure out how to space out all your containers for you guys, it'll make it easier for you to just then go to the list of food that you can have for each container and pick a couple and, lay it out. On Monday, I'm going to have this. Tuesday, I'm going to have this. And then I'm just going to keep alternating throughout the week. And then because of that, then you're just going to be able to go, all right, well, I have this many containers of, chicken and this many of, so on and so forth. So like I said, I'll try to get that stuff out to you guys. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. I'm here to help. So hope you guys are having a great Thursday, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.